So here's an interview that IGN just released today of The Last of Us Part 2 with Neil Druckmann on the sequel's ambitious stories. This is the generic interview, it sounds like. It's very small. I'm guessing they're releasing more of it later. So this is a very short review unless I have to sign up to IGN to read the rest. I don't see that. So here's what the interview was all about. You don't necessarily agree with what Joel's doing, but we saw that the majority of people understood what he's doing and now they're role-playing as him, Druckmann said. I might not do this, but I understand why Joel would, so I'm going to see the world through his eyes. There's something unique about the empathy that is created in video games. It's wholly unique. Now, I don't know exactly what he means, aside from that you're controlling a video game character, and obviously you take upon their existence. You want them to succeed in whatever the goal is, so you can progress, either in the story or the game. That goes without saying. It doesn't mean you actually like the character you're playing. Now, there are other characters you can play that are the villain in certain RPGs, for example. So it's not unheard of to play as different characters or to play as likable characters or morally gray characters. But there's nothing inherently special about that in video games. Controlling the thing you are. It's just the equivalent of driving a car. You don't want to crash. Your own life is at stake. You don't want to get anyone else hurt, etc., etc. So there's nothing inherently special about a video game or controlling a video game character. What that has to do with is the motivation that the character is and what their goal is, and you agreeing or disagreeing with that, saying, okay, well, I guess I'll get Mario to the end of this level because it might be fun or it's colorful or whatever. So there's nothing inherently special with controlling a character and saying, oh, now I like this character because I'm controlling them. That's not right, especially when you have a narrative-focused story like The Last of Us, where you have all this facial animation, you have all this voice acting, you have all these bodily animations that get you invested in the thing you're controlling, the person, supposedly. Can we build a whole experience around this concept? Druckmann said, explaining that he and the team ventured out to do that with Part 2. Can we make you hate someone to such a degree that you want to hurt them in really horrible ways or what they've done to you? And then all of a sudden make you play as them. And the challenge was, can we get you to empathize? So this is fine as a sentiment, meaning, okay, there's a character we dislike, like Abby, and then suddenly you play with them, and now you're supposed to like them. Well, again, just by playing as them does not make you like them. There has to be a series of things you have to do, especially when they're seen as a villain, especially when that villain kills a likable character such as Joel. You've already dug yourself into two holes. You put Joel on a pedestal, you then kill him, automatically that makes you the villain, and then now you're controlling the villain, and we're trying to empathize with that person. So now you have to climb up two holes just to get on a baseline to like someone or to start liking someone. That's very hard to do. And just controlling the thing does not automatically make you like the thing you're controlling. That's silly. Of course, Part 2 includes the dramatic gameplay shift of its second half, putting players in control of Abby, first introduced early in the sequel, as someone successfully hunting Joel to kill him. The second half, both in the present and in flashbacks, explores Abby's life and motivations, which Druckmann explained allowed them to dive into the themes of revenge from multiple perspectives. Well, there's only two perspectives. Abby's revenge, and she gets it rather early, and there's all kinds of confusing flashbacks, and then we come back to not present day, but either years ago or 2 weeks ago or 1 day ago or 2 days ago. It's actually quite confusing. This is one of the major problems with the story, not just that you have control of the antagonist or a wannabe anti-hero, whatever you want to call Abby, but that her story keeps jumping around. Not only jumping in time, but then back to Ellie. And then she has flashbacks. And then there's also dream flashbacks, which aren't real, but they look like a flashback that you've already seen. It's very confusing. This is what you don't do. You can use flashbacks, but not so much that you're like, okay, now we're doing this now for 20 minutes. Now we're doing this now for 1 hour. And then we're back in the present. It's very confusing. I don't know if you're going to like Abby necessarily. So he doesn't even know how to get you to like a character. And this is vital. to making a new protagonist. And by protagonist, I mean the player you're controlling. It is possible that Abby could have stayed an antagonist, and you could have controlled her as well, and disliked her, but still be attracted to Abby as a character. You can still like the villain. But not even that worked out well. It's this weird tug of rope between Abby and Ellie. Who do you go for? Who do you vie for? Where do you put your faith? Who do you like most? And it's always a give and take. You can't just extend the rope or shorten the rope. It's either or. This is a story of revenge. We're either supposed to like Abby or not. We're supposed to like Ellie or not. Because all of these characters are gray. That's the nature of the genre. Zombie horror is this gray area where morals and ethics are out the door. Like, okay, what do I do? How do I treat people? That's a given. So you have to do something very clear. You go in one direction for the narrative. If Abby's going to be a protagonist, you have to make her good. If you want people to get over the death of Joel, you have to demonize them. And all you got was a series of perspectives of multiple stories of the same event, which is Joel killing a bunch of people in a hospital to save Ellie's life, and then he lied to Ellie. Ellie didn't like that. She got angry at Joel. She may have forgiven him or started to forgive him, and then somehow that translates to Ellie forgiving Abby. No, that doesn't work. There was no scene where that connects. Abby never asked for forgiveness. Ellie never asked for forgiveness. They never were on a quest for redemption. Or Ellie at least was on a quest for revenge. Abby was on a quest for, I don't know what she was on a quest for. She wanted to go see Owen, and then she got caught, and then 2 kids saved her, and then she went back to Owen, then she woke up. Oh, I got to go see if those kids are okay, and then she went back to the kids, and then they get caught up in stuff, and then one kid escapes. They have to go chase after the kid, and then there's a war going on. It's not a clear story with Abby's storyline. It's a mess. And it's confusing when you combine all these jumps in time, and then you jump back to Ellie, then you have these dreams. It's a mess. It's hard to identify with anything when you're jumping around all the time, especially with someone you don't already like. We hope you do, but can we really get you to understand them? Well, again, Neil, it's hard to understand a narrative when you're jumping around all the time. And unless jumping in narrative is a part of the story, like you're jumping in time because you have a time machine, or you're jumping in dimensions, or some sort of fantasy science fiction plot, then why are you doing this? Why do you keep jumping around? Why not have a one clear flashback which explains a character and why they're feeling the way they're feeling, why they're doing what they're doing? It's hard to follow. And that's where the second half of the game goes. You're playing as someone that goes on their own journey of redemption. You get to see revenge from 2 sides. Now, I assume he's talking about Abby, because in no way does Ellie go on a tale of redemption. Abby's tale is with her and her friends who are off to kill Abby, or the people involved with Joel's death, which the goal is Abby. Abby just does stuff. That's about it. She goes visit Owen a few times. She has a few flashbacks with Owen. And then she gets caught up with the Seraphites and the 2 kids that save her life when she was trying to get to Owen's. And then she has to save one of the Seraphites' lives by going to a hospital to get stuff. And then it's just, there's no redemption. She's just trying to help some kids. That's not redemption. What does she need redemption from kids for? What did they ever? She saved their lives once. Now she's going to do it again? Because, okay, that's not redemption. That's just helping people. And more so than just exploring revenge, which is what most of The Last of Us 2's early marketing focused on, Druckmann explained how the dual perspectives allowed to explore the flip side of that forgiveness. Really? Where was the theme or story of forgiveness in The Last of Us Part 2? Can anyone tell me? Ellie's story is purely about revenge. There's this one time where she goes back to the farm because her revenge failed, and she goes, hey, I'm living a normal life. And then she realizes, oh, wait, I can't sleep. I can't eat. I need to do this. And then she goes off for revenge again. That was like a calm before the storm, if you will. With Abby, she just jumps around. Her entire story is a mess. It's a dreamscape, and then it's 4 or 5 flashbacks, and then it's saving some kids. Saving the kids do not represent her feeling sorry for killing Joel. Quite the opposite. She is very happy that Joel is dead. Her friends are very happy Joel is dead. There is no forgiveness there. Now, if you're thinking maybe it's the forgiveness that Ellie has at the end when she's talking about Joel, where she sees that flashback of Joel for 2 seconds. Is she trying to forgive herself? For doing what? What does Ellie have to feel sorry for? For disliking Joel? For getting on his back? For, I don't know, getting angry at Joel and wishing he were still alive? If anything, that would motivate her to seek revenge more. So it seems as if Druckmann doesn't know what he's talking about, or didn't make the game he initially thought he was going to make. If he wanted a story of forgiveness, and there had to be some climactic point where Ellie realizes, oh, I got to now forgive people, when was that? It wasn't the ending. Ellie just gave up. She went, oh, I can't do this. It hurts so much. As opposed to saying, oh, I can do this. This is why I'm here. This is my story. There was no forgiveness in this game. There was no motivation saying, hey, Dina, let's go forgive Abby. Let's go out there and find her and say, I forgive you. And you'd be like, okay. None of that. Never happened. All the people Ellie encounters, she murders. Every single person, almost every friend of Abby's is dead. Either as a result of Abby or as a result of Ellie or the war that's going on with the Seraphites. So where is the theme of forgiveness? It's not a theme. The only thing that forgiveness happens is right at the end, which is a flashback, another flashback. Because apparently the whole story is a series of flashbacks of Ellie talking to Joel, of what happened in the first game, which could have happened. That one flashback could have happened and been shown to us at the start of this game. And then you could have had a story of forgiveness where Ellie tries to forgive people. She tries to forgive people who were just as bad as she was or as bad as Abby was, and she sees the better side of humanity. And instead of killing people, she says, hey, I'm going to give you a second chance. I'm going to help you out. That never happens. She doesn't kill Abby because of, or she doesn't try, she tries to kill Abby, but she doesn't not because of forgiveness. It's because she just gave up. That's all. It's a game about empathy and forgiveness. No, it's not. Show me where in the game a gameplay action where you feel empathy and forgiveness. Everything in this game is murder and death. There are 2 options when you play as Abby near the end where you can grab someone, right? You can grab someone and you have 2 options to kill them. You can stealth shiv or you can stealth strangle, where she uses a shiv and stabs them, or she uses her bicep and breaks their larynx or whatever that neck breaking motion is. Is that forgiveness? When you play as Ellie and you grab someone, you stab them. You put your hand over their mouth and you stab them in the throat, and blood gushes out. Is that forgiveness? Where's the empathy? It's constant death and killing. This is not the same game. If this was a game like that, then Abby would have said, I'm sorry, and would have tried to make amends with the town of Jackson or Ellie or whatever. She never does that. In fact, whenever they meet, they only meet 3 times in the game. The beginning, where she kills Joel, and everyone's about to kill Ellie except for Owen stops everyone. 2, at the movie theater, where she outright kills Jesse, almost kills Tommy, and then they have their fight, and you control Abby to hunt down Ellie in the theater because Ellie's about to kill you. And then at the ending, where Ellie just stops trying to kill Abby for some reason. I don't. How did this happen? When did this happen in the game? It's not a game of empathy and forgiveness, and getting past grief, and seeing other people for the more complex human beings they are. Really? When does Ellie see Abby as a complex human being? When does Abby see Ellie as a complex human being? I guess she was confused when Ellie frees her at the end, when she's tied up to the pole there. And I guess she's delirious and confused at the same time. She looked malnourished for I don't know how long they were tied up there. But that's not exactly a clear message of what the hell's going on. If the whole point of your story is get delirious and almost get crucified and have your person who has a revenge plot against you free you so they can beat the shit out of you, to show they're complex, like, oh, you're so complex. You freed me, then you fight with me, and then you're not going to kill me. I don't know what's going on. Ooh, confusing. Thanks, Neil Druckmann. That really helped. That's what got us excited about making this. I don't get it. This is not a story about empathy and forgiveness. This is a story about revenge and killing. It's bleak, it's torture, it's long and slow and almost monotonously boring. You have really long levels. You have all these scenes where you strangle and stab people in the neck. So no. Unless forgiveness is stabbing people in the neck, I don't know what he's talking about. Anyway, hopefully there's going to be more. We could read up what the heck's going through this guy's head. Thanks for listening. Have yourself a great day.